Hello and thank you for tuning into Sideline Story, your destination for sports, news, analysis and discussions. I'm your host, Brandon Yates, and as always, I'm joined by my two fantastic co-hosts, Yang Guang and Tian Yu. And today we will be talking about possibly the most exciting league in European football right now, the English Premier League. And I think it's been one of the most hotly contested seasons that we've seen for quite some time. It started out as, I guess, a 4-horse race that became a 3-horse race, that now is seemingly a 2-horse race. But at this point in time, with City's dominance and their consistency, and Arsenal being a little bit inconsistent at the latter stages of the season, as they have historically done for so many years, that as a United fan, I'm not too upset about. But yeah, it takes so much to make City worried at this point in the Premier League, as we've seen over the course of the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years. So Arsenal have been doing incredibly well, but City are just seemingly unshakable at that Premier League summit. From Yang Guang, from your side of things, is it looking like a 2-horse race? And can Arsenal do anything to upset City's charge for yet another Premier League title?
Well, yeah, Arsenal and the City are once again in a stalemate for the Premier League title, just like last season. Things are looking familiar now, but I really hope the story will end in a different way this year. To make it clear, I'm not a big Arsenal fan here.
No, to put it lightly, I don't think any of us care at all about Arsenal's failures.
But I'm just tired of total dominance of City over and over again.
They're like the Michael Schumacher of the Premier League. They just consistently dominate.
Max Verstappen.
I would like to see the emergence of a challenger and a new Premier League champion.
But the thing is, I think they've always had challengers. So there's always been, like, Liverpool have chipped in here and there, and they obviously won that title in, I think, 2021, right? Or in the 2020-2021 season, when Liverpool won that.
Or 2019 to 2020.
Was it? Oh, that's right, 2019-2020. Thank you. But and since then, there's been competition, but there hasn't really been a serious challenge in terms of City looking like they may lose the title. So I think, with City's ascension, other certain Premier League clubs have gotten stronger, but they just haven't been able to topple City, right? And Arsenal have probably been, in the last 2 or 3 years, their closest competitor. But that being said, I still don't think City have been
really challenged,
seriously troubled. Actually, in the beginning stages of the season, it looked a bit shaky, but as we get to those latter stages where it really matters the most, it seems like City find that form, and Arsenal seem to flounder.
Yeah, it has always been a 2-horse race or 3-horse race, but either it's Liverpool against the City or Arsenal or other teams, but City is always there these years. But I think Arsenal, considering how long they were kept away from the top contention in England, I really hope they can manage to dethrone City here. And I do think Arsenal has a chance. They look on fire recently. We know Arsenal has had ups and downs this season, between the winter break especially. They were seemingly suffering from a fatigue and played inconsistently and lost some points. But now they've recollected the form. Their win against Tottenham definitely helped boost their confidence. And I noticed that some Arsenal fans are unprecedentedly turning to supporting Spurs now and hope they can defeat City in the following fixtures.
I think that's one fixture that City needs to look out for in terms of their potential charge to the title. I think Arsenal definitely have harder fixtures than City going towards that tail end of the season. But I also think it's going to take a lot for City to drop points, and I don't see it happening. Potentially against Tottenham, that could happen. But I just don't see Pep Guardiola and some of those experienced Premier League players, choking as Arsenal have done in previous seasons. But that being said, you mentioned, Yang Guang, that Arsenal defeated Tottenham, but I have to disagree in terms of that boosting their confidence, because yes, they did go 3-0 up in that first half, but I think also the goals that they conceded in the second half, where it made a seemingly
sloppy mistakes.
It made a seemingly easy win for Arsenal look incredibly shaky. And going into the remaining fixtures of the season where they still need City to drop points, I don't know how confident they'll be going into those matches, particularly when you look at the likes of some of the teams that they have to face, including Manchester United, who, listen, as a United fan, have been terrible all season. But when it's that Arsenal-Manchester United fixture, form goes out the window, and I'm sure United would love to... I mean, look, United won't want City to win another title, but I think they might want, as a United fan, speaking from myself, I think I would rather have City win another title than Arsenal win another title, just because I want that City progression to be stopped, because I think if they are not stopped, they can dominate the Premier League for the next decade. So going into those last couple of games, I think City might be more confident than Arsenal. Do you think Arsenal are confident? Do you think that they can sort out their mentality with those last games?
I think so. That's a 5-0 win against Chelsea.
Yes.
Yeah, and then a 3-0 lead in the first half against Tottenham. They've showed they can dominate the top rivals.
They have the attacking power.
Yeah, I think they can extend that momentum.
And Tianyu, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, but from where it stands right now, I would say it's very likely that we're going to see the repetition of last season's script.
I mean, it's City's title to lose, right? I think it's very much within their own hands.
Yeah, but this time a little different. Arsenal didn't go wrong in critical matches, and they fought very hard. Yet still, City is the same City, and if nothing goes wrong in their way, I think they will still raise the trophy.
Yeah.
Because if you check out the remaining matches for them, I don't see a single team that can pose the slightest threat for them. Tottenham may
Not
have...
even Tottenham?
Yeah, Tottenham might have the potential to be the savior for their arch-rival Arsenal. They're fighting for a seat for next year's Champions League.
Yes, I was about to mention that. I think the fact that Tottenham are still fighting for something, I think that could potentially impact that game against City.
I do think Tottenham against the City, that would be the title decider
that would be,
this season.
Deciding.
We assume that Arsenal also won't drop points. So if Arsenal continue to win and City continue to win, maybe that could potentially be the catalyst. And if things do go that way, what an amazing end to the Premier League season we could see.
Yeah.
I just noticed Piers Morgan, a huge Arsenal fan himself, lately said if Tottenham would be able to stop City, he would be willing to wear Spurs shirts in their parade for celebrations for a top 4 finish, because he said he don't think Tottenham can win the Premier League in his lifetime, and the top 4 finish is the best they can possibly do.
Yeah.
So
I love the banter from his side.
I don't even know it's sarcastic or it's the fact that he supports Tottenham here.
Oh, I think if Tottenham beats City and it results in Arsenal winning the Premier League, I'm very certain that Piers Morgan will happily wear Tottenham shirts, and I'm sure plenty of Arsenal fans would be willing to be less angry towards the Tottenham team, and also what a twist that would be. Can you imagine Arsenal's biggest rival, Tottenham, helping Arsenal win the title
dramatic.
And also qualifying for the top 4? I think Arsenal and Tottenham fans would be very confused about how they feel. But just looking at Arsenal, I mean, obviously we've discussed City and their squad depth and their ability to bounce back. We also know that Arsenal have made relatively significant improvements this season, and they've been able to maintain that momentum that they had from last season, which I wasn't expecting them to do this season. So, Yang Guang, from your side of things, where would you say Arsenal's biggest improvements have come? And if they win the league this season, or if they don't, can they maintain it going forward and consistently battle City? And what do they need to do to consistently keep up with City?
Well, I think Arsenal is more mature this season. Their consistency, it's not the top level yet, but has become better. In the latter half of the season, their depth has been good. They didn't suffer much from injury issues. They are definitely better than last season, majorly because of the joining of some star players. I mean, Rice has made Arsenal's midfield so solid.
Yeah, another player United missed out on.
And more organized as well. You don't see Arsenal often in disadvantage in the battle around midfield this season. And another name, Havertz.
Yes, someone that we've criticized for a long time. All of a sudden, he's stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, he's changed the dynamics of Arsenal's front line. He's tall, so he can act as a pivot when opponents play heavy defense,
Yeah,
which
which is
Arsenal
also-
didn't have last season.
Yeah, and also I think the fact that Arsenal have two very tricky wingers in Martinelli and Saka,
Yeah.
who can cause defense problems and also, cut in and score goals. But they also, with Havertz, they also have an extra option in terms of
Variety.
putting in crosses for Havertz to finish
Yeah.
off. So I think, even though he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, I think the unique abilities that he has, just with regards to his, natural height, I think that's added, like you've said, Yang Kwang, another dynamic to Arsenal's attack,
yeah.
which I think has been very important.
I have to say I owe Havertz an apology.
Me too.
Me too.
At the beginning of the season, many fans, me included, thought Arsenal's move to sign Havertz was a joke.
Yeah.
And we made fun of him, even his hairstyle.
Sorry.
We made the statement that he's meant to fail at Arsenal, and questioned.
Look, I think as a group, we've always agreed that he's a talented footballer, but we weren't really sure where he kind of fit in, and we weren't also sure if Arteta would figure out what to do with him. So I think we need to apologize to him and also potentially to Arteta, because it seems like together they've been able to utilize his footballing abilities to the most, and also I think that just like I said, his height and just the ability to suck in defenders and create an additional headache for defenders in terms of figuring out what the likes of Saka and Martinelli are going to do. I think that's really created more threats through Arsenal's attack that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I have to agree. Credits here must be given to Arteta as well. Obviously, he's got the manual of Havertz and managed to switch him on.
I also think, Arteta deserves a huge amount of credit that he hasn't necessarily been getting lately, because obviously the headlines have been dominated by Klopp leaving and Pep Guardiola just doing incredible things with City. But Mikel Arteta has gotten to 100 wins in the Premier League 10 games sooner than Arsene Wenger did. And Arsene Wenger was part of that.
I didn't know that.
He was part of that invincible season. He won titles with Arsenal and was one of the top competitors with Manchester United when we were just winning all of those titles in the early 2000s. So I think, and considering Arsenal's not incredible budget compared to Manchester City and the lack of squad depth that they have, I think what Arteta's been able to do with that squad, well, with that team, actually, not really a squad, just the starting 11, has been really incredible. I also think the return of Saliba has been big for Arsenal in defense. He's been described as a Rolls-Royce player by some of his teammates, just one of those really quality defenders, amazing on the ball, similar to Virgil van Dijk and not similar to Harry Maguire.
What a compliment.
I can't go through a football podcast without having a little dig at Harry Maguire, although he has been scoring goals for us lately, so fair play to him. But he's just one of those defenders that modern Premier League teams are looking for, can defend, but also has the ability to play out from the back. And I think his return has been huge for Arsenal. But when Arsenal go forward through this season and going into next season, particularly with the Champions League and the FA Cup and all of those competitions, I'm very concerned about their squad depth, because if you look at that compared to City in particular, that could be a huge concern if Arsenal are wanting to push City in the Premier League and also compete on other titles. Do you think that could potentially be something that needs to be addressed in the next transfer window, Tianyu?
Yeah, when City got Kevin De Bruyne injured, they still have plenty of more choices.
Alvarez.
Yeah.
Grealish, Alvarez, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva.
Yeah,
the creative options are just immense.
Yeah, this lineup is so full of talented names, and
if you think of how many defenders they lost as well, and then all of a sudden Gvardiol and players like that started stepping
they
up.
Always step up, And when you look at the lineup of Arsenal, it's gonna it is a bit worrying for the depth of their bench,
because I literally think one injury to a key player to Arsenal could derail them in any competition.
Yeah.
Whereas with City, it doesn't seem to be the case. Even if they lost Haaland for the whole season, Alvarez is one of the best strikers in the world.
Despite these limited resources, I think they're still doing a lot better than last season. Yes. They're statistically they are the best team this season because they scored the most goals and conceded the fewest. And like I said, they had a solid record this season when playing against the powerhouses. They in the Premier League, they remained unbeaten when facing Manchester City, Liverpool, Hotspur, and Chelsea. That was quite incredible record. And I think it says a lot about the improved mentality and consistency of these young gunners.
I think the only concern there for Arsenal is the squad depth. So I think their starting 11 is pretty much sorted, and they've got incredible players in each of those positions. But I think going into next season, whether they win the league or not, and if they want to compete in the Champions League and not fall out, I think that squad depth definitely needs work. And I think Arteta, as he's proven, he's doing an incredibly great job with Arsenal. I'm sure he has an eye on that squad depth going into the next transfer window. Yang Guang, we've talked a lot about City and Arsenal, which is crazy considering how well Liverpool were doing so early on in the Premier League season. And it was really looking like City were going to lose the title. And then all of a sudden, Liverpool...
You mean Liverpool?
Oh, it looked like Liverpool was going to win the title and City were going to fall off. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Liverpool just dropped off completely. What has happened there?
Well, I really feel sorry for Liverpool. Of course you
I don't feel sorry for them at all, but I mean, it is a strange phenomenon.
Yeah, I do think the packed game schedules dragged them down a little bit. When you need to play the Europa League, the Domestic League, and the FA Cup, plus the League Cup, because they went all the way to the final there.
Hasn't affected City, though. I mean, look, well, to be fair, they did drop out of the Champions League, but it seems like all of those competitions didn't affect their domestic ambitions.
But with Liverpool's squad and the tactics Jurgen Klopp required for his players, you can't guarantee the team can play its highest level every single game.
Absolutely.
Liverpool's slump began from that 3-0 home loss in the Europa League semi-final against Atlanta.
That was appalling. I remember that game clearly. That was really terrible. Considering the lineup that they put out as well. I mean, there were some quality players on the field for Liverpool.
Yeah. Just after that, it seemed like Liverpool was put into water and couldn't come up for a breath. They were totally worn out because Jurgen Klopp's style means the players need to go all out every game. His football philosophy is that if I can't run over you, I can't defeat you. There's much demand on the players' energy, and then if for 1 or 2 games or even 1 or 2 moments, players that don't have strong mental fortitude like Arnold make 1 or 2 mistakes, it will cost them the points in the title race.
Yeah.
And that altercation between Klopp and Salah on the sideline, that sideline story.
Yeah, but do you think that points to some, disagreements in the dressing room? Do you think there might be a bit of tension there? Maybe, Salah wants to go to Saudi, and also Klopp leaving. Maybe that's also created some tension in that dressing room, which they haven't really had before.
I think in that particular case, I think Salah wants to be in the starting 11.
No, I mean, not in terms of that specific case, but do you think it was just an example of potentially some unrest in the dressing room, or do you think it was
I think so.
Or was it a once-off incident? From my perspective, I think because of Klopp leaving and the strange timing of that announcement, I think that could have caused some tension in the dressing room. And also because of the demands that he places on some of those players with him leaving, and also some players like Salah that want to leave, I think that naturally would create some unrest.
Yeah, there must be some history behind that, just one case.
I think it's recent history, though. I think that it's been this season because of Klopp, like I said, Klopp leaving and Salah also being linked with moves away.
I do think that that incident really hurt the team. It's just another case that when everything goes well, all the conflicts are kept underneath. You don't see them. But
there's so many incidents off the field that we as journalists are not aware of. And sometimes those secrets do come out on the field. And I think that's what we saw.
Yet once they start to lose games, here emerges the hidden fight. I don't want to exaggerate it, but to see Klopp leaving Liverpool like this, it's kind of sad. Of course, by the day when he coaches the final Liverpool game, there will be nothing but applauses, but he would leave without a perfect period. That is winning more trophies.
I wonder if his timing of the announcement affected Liverpool's season. I mean, I don't exactly know the details of why that timing happened mid-season, but why would they not wait until the end of the season to make that announcement? It's a very strange situation, I think.
Yeah, I think that really put the team in a situation that the players really taken by surprise.
Yeah, and it probably also makes players that are unsure of whether they want to stay or not make a decision that they also want to go.
Yeah.
I think that announcement either encourages the players to push for the title for the final season of the coach, or in another case, just lose the core morale of the team.
It can create a domino effect because other players might think, well, he's leaving, so I want to leave now too. You know, Salah, I want to go to Saudi and make lots of money. You know, I want to go to Real Madrid. I want to go to Barca. You know, that all of a sudden those conversations start happening, particularly when the key figure of the team is leaving. So I think it definitely created some unrest in the dressing room. And it probably also led to some of the poor performances that we saw from Liverpool. I mean, look, there's other factors as well. They've had injuries. You know, their attackers, for some reason lately, have also been incredibly wasteful in front of goal. So there have been performance issues that cannot really be answered at this point. But I think we just have to assume that some of it might have been caused by some of that unrest with Klopp leaving and some uncertainty about the futures of some of their star players like Salah. Tianyu, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Liverpool only had 2 wins in their last 6 matches across all competitions. And I think I agree with you guys. It started with the announcement of Klopp's exit of the club. We expected the announcement would bring the players all together, you know, to become more motivated, to get Klopp a final trophy. But it turned out that the things just continued to spiral out of control. Salah was Klopp's favorite striker. There were numerous occasions that he openly showed his appreciation for Salah.
And rightfully so, because Salah has been one of the most lethal players in the Premier League over the last decade.
Yeah, when Sadio Mane had clashed with Salah in terms of the status in the team, Klopp chose Salah and put Sadio Mane in an assistant role to support Salah. And now his favorite student was yelling at him on the pitch and ignored him after the game. It was terrible. And to make things worse, after his manager sought to put out the flames, Salah poured petrol on them. He said there's going to be some fire today if I speak during interviews after the game.
But to be fair, he bit his tongue and he didn't say anything, which I think is also credit to him because, it's very professional because we've seen with, like, for example, Ronaldo's interview with Piers Morgan, how things can really go the other way.
Yeah, but still, I think he had no reason to talk like that to his manager, someone who found his talent and gave him so much support. Not to mention the fact that he kind of really sucked in recent games.
Look, it does happen though. I mean, arguments do happen. I think I don't think there's any ongoing animosity between Salah and Klopp. You know, maybe they just disagreed about something in that particular game. And you know, sometimes words are exchanged and sometimes people fight. But I'm sure that the relationship between Klopp and Salah will remain when the season ends, and I think they will also value the achievements that they were able to go out and achieve with each other. And speaking of achievements or lack thereof, let's look at Manchester United for next season, Yang Guang. I'm not optimistic at all. I think they can potentially compete in the top 4 if certain changes are made. But do you think they can compete for the title?
I hope so.
Me too.
And I think they might be able to surprise some fans.
But do you think a lot of changes are required?
They need to sign a lot more players
and get rid of some too. I think the likes of Casemiro, Varane, Maguire. Look, nothing against them, but I just think that they aren't going to be part of the future of Manchester United, and I don't think they're going to help them compete for a title.
And their manager, I know there are a lot of finger pointing to Erik ten Hag, but I was wrong about Havertz. Maybe Ten Hag can turn things around.
Nope, Ten Hag has to go. Tianyu, your thoughts before we finish off?
I agree with you. Top 4, the most.
Yeah, at best, I think.
But in the title race, still question mark. Because
absolutely,
we've seen some hopes. There's some rising stars like, what's the name of the Argentine striker? The
Garnacho.
Garnacho, Mainu.
Yep. There's some potential there.
Yeah, there's some potential there, but to win a title, you need far more than just a couple of emerging stars.
Yeah, and I think United might also face a battle to keep some of those stars if things don't turn around quickly. So I think Manchester United is going to be one of those teams to watch next season in terms of what they can do to turn things around. And of course, the remainder of this Premier League season will be fantastic to watch. And I think it's whatever happens, it's going to be a very dramatic finish, whether it results in City winning another title or Arsenal winning their first title for quite some time. But that is all we have time for more on this week's episode of Sideline Story. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we will be back next week with our latest topic, and we'll see you then.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.